Right, so welcome back to another podcast with me, Mac, and Jake. I'm not going to say the other one. Jake is trying to force me to say my normal introduction, but I'm giving up on that. 2023 is around the corner. Need to start getting new verbiage, etc. But how are you doing, Jake?
Hunky dory.
Hunky dory.
Feeling good today.
Ooh, who is she?
Yeah. No.
Who is she? What's that?
My days of that are gone. You know what I mean?
You got the hair done. Yeah,
I'm like a dog chasing a car. I can't drive when I catch it.
Very, very good. Very good. So I suppose this is kind of a weird week. It's kind of the first week where we've had no motor racing at all. So everything is finished up for the year. So good week at videos, actually. We had a lot of comments and stuff, so I kind of want to go through some of the videos that we did this week and maybe discuss some of the comments and answer some of them, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose we'll start with Marquez, and I found it very interesting what he said about the aero and the ride height devices, and I know it might be a bit controversial and old school fucking granddad, right? But
oh man, yeah.
I don't like these. Sorry, I am not against aero and the ride height devices. I put that out there, but I don't like the fact that they make it easier. Like, I look at the guys in the British Superbike Championship, right? And they're handling superbikes on a fucking country boring of a track, right?
Mm-hmm.
With no traction control or ABS or whatever, right? And it's like their brain, their wrist, their arse, and their foot need to talk to each other simultaneously.
But that's not at 325 horsepower per liter.
Yeah, but it's 240. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, just 80, 90 more horsepower. And that when you hit there's a certain point where you hit a pivot point, and that they've gone over that pivot point. Because when they, like I said, when Fabio came around, he just for having a lesser aero, he went 2 laps, came around and said the thing doesn't handle. It's dangerous. I'm not doing that.
I get it, right? I do get it. I'm not talking about moving away from it, but I'm like, if you can plant it coming out of second gear and into third gear and 100% throttle, sit your ass back and get into a like a fucking Moto 3 bike on a MotoGp bike, there's something wrong. Like, for me, right? I look like that literally means that you're coming out of the corner, you're just getting into your tuck, you're squirting the throttle, grip with your knees, and
but they're not getting 100%. That thing's getting notched back from the electrics. It's just holding it down.
Yeah, it is, but I still think though, is it a bit like fuck it? I don't know. Look at the lads coming out in superbikes or world superbikes, or not even world superbikes, in British superbikes, right? They do have less horsepower, right? But man, they're climbing all over them fucking bikes to make sure that front wheel stays down on the ground.
But they're doing the same thing in MotoGP. Look at Simon Crafar was against he was another old timer. He was against the aero and the ride height, right? What happens when he rode him? He said, "Oh, Mike, now he's a transfer." He's Look, that's the greatest thing in the world.
I understand it, but like I still think, Joe, look,
you'll have guys dying and crashing all over the place.
Well, yes and no, right? Because look, we had guys on the most vicious motorbikes ever.
No, don't tell me it's a 500 two-strokes. No, yes, when the men were men and the sheep were scared bit. Oh, yeah, come on.
Yeah,
Fabio was as good as Schwantz all day.
Yeah, but there was a healthy respect, and this fucking thing will launch you out of the corner if you don't respect it. Now they just go bang and fucking didgeridoos take
didgeridoos. Yeah.
Whereas you go out of a corner in a 500, you try to get the fucking full gas, right? Do you know what I mean? You will end up fucking face planting the moon, right? And then you will come back down and land on your fucking arse. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like,
well, that's a 2-stroke versus a 4-stroke. You're talking apples and oranges.
You're not.
Because a 2-stroke always has a 2,000 RPM.
I tell you no. Fact. Go watch the British Superbikes, right? And watch how many fellas get launched out of the corner because they try and give it too much fucking gas. Right? It's you're on the edge of the tire. You fucking jack it
Brits
over.
Actually, the damn Brits ain't that bright. That's all.
Yeah. I agree. Brits aren't bright. Yeah. But no, but like I just think, and look, and I think that's what one of Mark's points was that Joe kind of, and Marini said it, like Joe does kind of take a small bit of the riders' thing out of it. You know what I mean?
But it's here to stay with all that horsepower.
It is. Though. It is. It is.
And the problem is Marquez is the last person to be saying it because he has an axe to grind. Okay. The bike's so far back, the only way Honda's winning is if they have two wheels, a motor, and the handlebar. And that way they'd be in 7-10 and he'd win every race because he's the best rider.
Personally, I think they need four wheels.
You
know,
I give him more credit than you do. Yeah. But that he has an axe to grind, you know, and Honda, that's why they're always trying to ban stuff because their engineering department's so weak. Let's not kid anybody. You know?
Yeah, look, I'm not saying
which is a horrible way to win, by the way. I just, you know, that's what pisses me off with Honda. It's not the team, it's the executive branch. You know, they're lawyers.
For me, look, I'm just like, I don't want to ban. Like, I understand why it's there. Look, and it makes complete sense. If you look from a way of a nerd saying, how do you go around the corner as fast as possible? Mm-hmm. This is the exact way to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's 100% the exact. Yep. So every time you press the button before you go into the corner, next time you crack open that throttle, the rear sits down. In Ducati's case, the front sits down. And right? Makes complete sense, right?
But I'll tell you what, though, guys. Sorry.
But I'm just not sure if... Do you know the way you idolize the likes of Schwantz, Rainey, and all of these riders for being able to tame something that's untamable? 500s. Yeah. Pure example of it. Are we taming the MotoGP as it is now, but with so much electronics and rider aids? That was all I think. And that's because I don't... These are the best riders in the world, and these are people that, in my view, are superhuman, right?
Well, they are. They're just as good as they were then. You know what I mean? I mean, Freddie Spencer and Mark Marquez, right, run the exact same lines, and and Kenny Roberts Sr. are the only three guys that can run those lines, the same lines in the same style. All right, you know that?
Yeah.
They did that in a German magazine. Because they go, you go in fast and you go in fast and arc the corner, or you go in slower and then speed on the way out and square the corner. Well, they do both. They go in fast, keep that mid-corner speed, and then still push out. They're like, they're keeping the speed up with a square and a corner off at the same time. But only those three guys can do it, have the reflexes to do it. That's why their bikes are so much different than everybody else's.
And then with the aero, he said, the aero does help keep the front of the bike down. Just fine. Again, I have no problem with that.
But it holds it in the corners too. But don't forget.
Yeah, but what he was saying, and it was really, really interesting, is that he's like, how stable it makes the bike under braking, and now how much later into the corner
and the ride height does that too. Keeps it stable going under the braking.
Yeah. But it's just what he was talking about was just like how much later, deeper they can brake now into the corner with the aero, because again, look, it's causing extra drag to slow them down. It's giving them the stability, and he's like, it's fucking risk a little bit more to show on the front end, which is never good to fucking do on a Honda anyway, right? Let's be fair, right?
Or the back end or somewhere.
Yeah.
They're relying on tires. Yeah.
But, and it's something really, I find really interesting is like, I never actually thought, I thought about, the aerodynamics trying to keep the front down, smoothing the airflow around the bike. But I never thought, about the braking stability and how much it would give, and the repercussions of that is that if you're now able to brake a meter or 2 meters later into the corner, if you're trying to pass someone, you need to go 3.5, 4. meters late, and all of a sudden you're either running wide, you're tucking the front and taking them with you, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's quite. I like that bit that it's, but it's just something like I just worry, and like my whole thing with aero is I just don't want it to go like Formula One, where there's fucking bits and bobs hanging. Like, have you ever seen a Formula One driver get into his car?
Oh yeah, they're like,
no, they need fucking steps to get into their car. Now, fuck off, right? That's not a car, right? That's a fucking bathtub, right? Do you know what I mean? You should never need, and that's because there's all these fucking doodads around. And that's what I just don't want to see, is that a rider needs to fucking step onto his bike from off a little fucking step ladder because there's so much aero shit around it. Do you know what I mean?
As long as the bike is leaning to turn, you're never going to be like the F1 bike. That's the dividing line there. And you can make a motorcycle that doesn't have to lean to turn. That's what I'll hit the roof about electronics and that. If they don't have to turn, if they don't have to lean anymore, and you don't have to use body language, then that's become a car with two wheels. We're way far off of that. And
we're way far off.
But let me tell you something. When I was going over that, the aero makes it. I was going over with Rich Miner, and he said, well, the aero makes it more dangerous. I said, well, no, it doesn't. But actually, we were both right. I said, it makes it safer because the air is cleaner behind you, so you don't have that buffeting going in. You know, when you're going to do a draft pass on somebody and the wind's beating you, and then you get into that hole and it sucks you in, and then you like slingshot out and go around. And you got to guess.
So 1 second, right? It doesn't make it any more dangerous, but you're in the air behind it, right? And then you go into the slipstream air where everything calms down and it's nice and flowing around you. And then you pull out and the fucking tries to rip your head off the air.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so it's not any more dangerous.
Right. No. This is normal. No, that's the normal. That's without aero. Okay.
I'm only joking.
Yeah, that's the normal aero, without aero, rather. Right. So I said, well, no, now you don't have that. You can't do that draft pass because the air is clean, right? So you don't have that buffeting. So now you have to do a straight pass. But it's safer doing the straight pass than a draft pass. It always has been. But then he did make the point, you got to go deeper, though, like you just said. So it's really one danger. It's an either or situation. It's not more or less dangerous. It's the same. It's like you're switching one off or the other.
Yeah, I don't know, though. Do you know what I mean? A draft pass is a little bit dangerous, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Tucking the front and fucking taking your man with you, too, is a bit more as well. Do you know what I mean? But no, look, I think overall, I don't disagree with them, and I just don't want it to go the way of Formula One, where fucking like if you went back to the Formula One, and I'll take between 2000 and 2010 as an example, right? Mm-hmm. You look at a Formula One car from 2000,
right,
to 2002, 2003, maybe minor wings, right? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, they let some regulations fucking go, right? And next minute, there was fucking bull horns, and there was this and that, and barge boards at the side of the car, and you're just looking at it, and you're just like going.
But that wasn't that when they banned ground effects, and the ground effects
smooth
went underneath.
Ground effects went in the 80s, I think. They only brought ground effects back.
Then they just brought ground effects back.
Yeah, and that caused another problem, but.
But look at how much that's the problem I say with banning too. When you look at ride height, okay, ride height only came about because they banned active suspension, right?
Yeah.
Right? Now they ban it, and all that does is to have the engineer go, we'll work around it. And they'll spend millions of dollars to work around it, and they come up with a lesser product in ride height. If Dorna would have kept their freaking fingers out of it and left the active suspension, like the ones we have on our street bikes, we wouldn't have ride height. So every time you ban something, all that does is cost millions of dollars for an engineer, or billions in the fact of F1. Remember, ground effects used to just be two fans in the back sucking the wind out, right? From the back. Now they ban that, and it costs billions of dollars to
No,
have
no,
all
no,
that
no. That was
goofy shit.
no. That was no, the fan car, which I think
Yeah, the
was
fan car. Yeah,
that was a
for
Brabham.
Brown.
That only ever raced one race and was banned.
Yeah,
But that was
no,
adding to
I thought
that.
it was more than one race.
No, it was one race and it was banned. I think, and it was Bernie Ecclestone's team at the time actually that had it. But
I thought they let him run a season or something like that.
No, one race. Because they already had ground effect, and then they added the fan to the ground effect, so they could still run the car just minus the fan. Do you know what I mean?
But I thought the fan was the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, well, that was the extra bit that no one thought about. But the ground effect, you were allowed run ground effect in that era. Do you know what I mean? It came out with your man.
Yeah, but I thought that the fans would really made that ground effects work. Like, man, it sucked it to the ground. Where the other one was like a half-ass, quarter-ass.
No. Because what they did with that is that they used to use the skirts at the side of the car, and then that was the main ground effect. But
but that was way after the fan car.
No. That was well before it. Well before.
Really?
Lotus came out with that first. Yeah.
I won't argue with that because I'm not that big on Formula One.
I think it was Lotus, the Jam Player Blacks or Jam Player Special car. And then Bernie's team came out with the fan car that added to the ground effect. Let's just say Joe multiplied it by 2. Like it just sucked the air.
Yeah, I know it really worked.
Rather than it being passive, do you know what I mean? It was being forced. Like,
but still, that got the idea in everybody's head, and they instead of have everybody with a fan on the back, it still costs billions of dollars to get back to that same point again. Is my point. You know, if they'd have just kept their fingers out of it and let performance find its own level. If you just let things progress, everything works.
Yeah, yeah. Look, but I suppose these times, right? And look, you know, I look at it an awful lot in these teams, right? And there's an awful lot of politics goes on within these, right? And 90% of the protests that go in, right? And I know this from my days of racing, right? Is that they just want their team manager to go and have a whinge at the FIM or the FIA or whoever it is. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And Joe, if you throw enough shit, something might stick. You know what I mean? And that is the way that it always happens. And there's so much money involved now in running of a team. You know, they'll fucking whinge at anything, Joe, if anyone seems to have an advantage. But for me, I think, look, I understand why we do need, like, I personally believe that ride height device actually came when they banned the active suspension.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some engineer, some cute whore of an engineer in Ducati was sitting down and saying, well, what the fuck do we use the whole shot device for? To get a great start. So you push a button and the drop back, and when we come out of the corner, and obviously in a very more elegant and Italian way that he kind of sold it to Ducati. But like, I think that's where it all comes from. Do you know what I mean? And
but did you notice that the whole shot device, Honda never bitches about that. They'll bitch about everything else, but you know why? Because Honda has the best whole shot device. It does. So everything else is so so dangerous. You know, we can't have it because they want everything simple, right? But whole shot. Oh no, that's fine. Well, we're fine with that. You know,
we're happy with that. Yeah,
that's not dangerous at all. No.
Yeah, but look, I think like a lot of people put a good few comments in it where they agree and they disagree with what Marcus said. Scott Smith 491. You know, no thanks, I'll pass on it. I love the 250, 500s and 125s. The bikes are definitely where the riders had a lot more fun. I agree, but you know, have to move with the times according to Jake.
Yeah. And another guy said, I had one guy, and he thought he was mad at everybody. He says, no, Honda, these Japanese manufacturers just got to up their game and stop bitching and whining and moaning. You know?
And they do. And listen, look, that's definitely. It's definitely something they need to do is up their game.
And they have the bigger budget. Like they all have KTM, Yamaha, and Honda all have bigger budgets than Ducati does.
Yeah.
You know that. Yeah. I mean,
but I think like they do, but I think Ducati have.
Well, they have help from Audi.
They do. They have an awful lot of stuff. I would think that they don't have to pay for. Does that make sense?
That's what I mean. Yeah, they have help from Audi.
Yeah, so like Audi show like Aerodynamics. Do you know what I mean? All of this stuff, hybrid innovations and stuff like this that Audi. And while there is no hybrid in bikes, I think the fact that you have a department there that can look at.
Audi has 5 different motor manufacturers. The board at Audi all have made their own bank out of their personal money because the Audi guys are nuts over motorcycles. They have been. In '78, they were going to put their own brand out. Okay, Audi has always been nuts over motorcycles. So, like they all ride motorcycles. The board members, all ride motorcycles. They're all watching the thing. This is before they even bought Ducati. They were all nuts over motorcycles. So they have a personal interest to it also. A passion for it.
Passion for it. Yeah. And look, that's half the battle. I suppose go on,
talking about passion, gotta say this. How do you beat passion like this? Did you see all the members of Ducati, the whole factory had a mask of Gigi and the other guy was and they all put a mask on, they're all partying. And like, that's passion. You have the whole goddamn factory, okay, partying with red shirts on, like they mimic them, in their face mask.
Well, listen, right?
That's people will put overtime in for nothing to see
if your company spent about 10 billion trying to win a championship and they finally won it. Well, no, I won't say 10 billion.
But they always had the best bikes. That's always kicked them in the nuts. I mean, can you imagine always having the best bike out there and you lose? You're like, son of a bitch. Because you just can't buy that rider. It costs too much for the riders. They can't afford that $25 million Marquez.
I don't know. I think they could. I think. Well, but sorry. No, I think now the fact that they've climbed that mountain, I think that 25 million rider now becomes a 15 million. Because
wow. Okay, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Because now they have a bike that they've proved can win it, and they're like, okay, listen, look, we can take. I won't call them ordinary Joe Soaps, right? Anyone can ride a Ducati fast, right?
Like Yamaha back in the day. Remember? By 2009, 2010, everybody could ride a Yamaha. Good.
And I just think, I think they're in the stage now the price tag comes down, right? You have Marquez. His body is fucked, right? Do you know what I mean? He's in a very fragile state of his career, like one bad bang. Could his head, he's still not body wise, he's still not 100%, and I look at it in that way, and I'm like, okay, it's about legacy for Marquez. Like Marquez, I don't care what anyone says, he does not want Rossi to have the same or more titles than him. He wants to kill him in that, and he wants Rossi to suffer for the rest of his life, knowing that he beat him. I don't care what anyone says. And I don't think that's ever going to happen on a Honda. And I think Mark knows that there's a fair chance that might happen.
And I think the brother, they're so freakish about being together, that whole family, that the brother going on to Ducati will be a huge mark.
No, Alex Marquez is not by any means a slow rider, right? He is a Moto 3 world champion and a Moto 2 world champion. Did it take him a couple of years to win the Moto2 championship? Yes, it did. Compared to Mark, yes, it did. But he is still a Moto3 and a Moto2. So he has a good pedigree of racing. Now, if he went to Honda, he had one good year when Mark wasn't there on the Honda. He had like 3 great races on Honda. Let's just call it that way.
He did well for being on the Honda, was trying to pitch him off all the time. Yeah.
If he throws the leg over the Ducati and all of a sudden he is in the top 5 or top 6 consistently, Mark knows he's faster than his brother. And Mark would be like, fuck, if he can do that, what could I do?
Yep. Yes.
And I don't care about what anyone says about racing drivers. Racing drivers and riders are the most selfish people in this world, right? Because it is a very self-orientated sport. So when they get on that bike, they turn into the most selfish people in the world. And all
it's
they think about,
it's dog eat dog, you know.
But no, it's right. Don't get me wrong. It's right.
Yeah.
They're lovely off the track. Like Quadraro is probably one of the nicest riders off track. You always see him taking fan pictures with kids and this, that, and the other, right? No questions. But when you get onto a bike, or when you get into a go-kart, or when you get to a race car, you turn it. It becomes about you and your race and your victory. If Marc Marquez, and my view of this of Marc Marquez is that he's at the stage of his career now where he does not have time to go and develop and catch a bike by the horns and bring it up and do this, right? He's locked into Yamaha, into Honda until 2024. People are saying he is locked in. Honda are never going to say, give us 25 million, we'll release you and you can go to fucking Yamaha and Ducati and beat us.
No, when they first signed that, and remember there was big problems when they were signing him because that guy had come out and said that anybody could ride. It wasn't Marquez in 2019. It was the bike. Anybody could have won the championship, and Mark hit the roof. Well, first Mark was at the party and said the bike's a piece of can't handle, and then the guy came back and said no, it just can. It was the bike that won him the championship. So Mark got pissed off. Then Mark made him the Honda repeal that and apologize and say, "Yo, it was Mark, not the Honda. We have problems."
Yeah.
But when they signed that contract, he had it out for the third and fourth year because that's why the only reason he gave it, I think, for 4 years.
He has it out, but it has to be an agreed out.
I thought it was unilateral. I read it was unilateral.
No,
that's what came out from his. Well, not now, but his former. Former manager.
There would have to be certain restrictions within that out. Do you know what I mean? Like if Honda didn't do X or Y or Z, right? And this is probably why they're working so hard now, is that to make sure that he can't trigger that sort of content. So, do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean like. I know, for example, with Verstappen is that if there's multiple engine blow-ups in the year, do you know what I mean? He can look at leaving and whatever, right?
So I would bet they have if Honda doesn't win a race, and they didn't win a race, okay? Because Honda would never think we're not going to win a single race the whole year. And that was probably one of the outs,
Maybe, but maybe it's like the fact that he didn't complete the season. Null and voids that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But look, I don't see Honda willingly letting him out of his contract so that he can go off and ride in Ducati and win a world championship and beat them the following year.
I read that's the only way they got him to sign for 4 years was that they gave him an out clause in the third and fourth year, unilateral.
I think Honda would waste the 50 million over 2 years and say, okay, if you don't want to ride a bike, you sit at home. I genuinely think that's how shit it would get with Honda if he turned around and he said, I want to get out.
I don't think they did because I remember how hard it was for him to get him a sign. They thought he was going to Ducati, remember? A lot of people thought he had already signed. Then he had 2 contracts on the table, they said.
Who was it Repsol Honda had to run 3 bikes with? Was it Hayden, Dovizioso, and Pedrosa? There was it just shows you some people like Dovizioso would never ever get in a Honda ever again, even if Honda was the best bike in the world and he was finishing Ducati, right? Because he burned his bridges because he held Repsol Honda to their contract, right? They wanted to run him in a satellite team. He's like, no, I have a factory contract.
Oh, okay.
Right. So the Repsol Honda had to run 3 bikes 1 season, I think. Maybe it was Stoner. I can't remember what year it was, but I'm sure someone will correct us.
Yeah.
But I think, look, I just think for him it's just about legacy, and I can't see Honda agreeing to let him leave early. So they probably have all the box ticked. Yeah, we gave you this, we gave you this, we gave you this, we gave you this. Do you know what I mean? Then you have, I suppose, you have Mir. Joe, his first day in the Honda.
Right.
Mark was my view was really interesting to see how Mark was hunched over listening to what Mir was saying. You know,
Right.
You know, Marcus obviously wasn't impressed with what happened. You know, and
he's going to work for somebody at least. You know.
Yeah. I think like, you know, and look, this is the same with Miller on KTM, right? You know, his first initial impressions are the most valuable because this is when the Suzuki is the most freshest in his mind for the comparisons and the more, and this is, I think this is the risk for Mir, right? Is that firstly, it is Marc Marquez's team, no matter what anyone says, right? And he is a guest in Marquez's team.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's how they keep him too. He loves that ego bit that it's his team. That's why they had him doing the speeches, the cheerleading speeches to the team. They had Marquez doing that. It didn't mean a damn thing. They're just like, yeah, go ahead, let him stroke himself. Let him stroke his ego. Yeah.
But my fear for Mir is that, you know, the first 6-8 months, if he doesn't make a dramatic impact within the team or the bike, he has no hope of it ever being suited to him than Mark. Do you know what I mean? And
but they do set it up for him. Now they'll set it up to his preferences and all.
They will, but like, I suppose, but the development or the field, you know what I mean? Like if he came in, he said, look, this is where I think it's better and or make it better compared to the Suzuki and whatever. And then Mark tried that and that was golden.
Yeah.
Then they would listen to exactly what Mir is saying for the next couple of ones, say, okay, this is the steer. Do you know what I mean? However, if he gives that input and it doesn't, and Mark doesn't like it or it doesn't improve it for Mark, you know, I think with the greatest of respect, I think Mir could go into the corner. Do you know what I mean? And end up like Paolo Spagaro. But then saying that, look, Mir is a really consistent rider. I just fear with Honda, you know, they will take what they need out of him if they find it's good, great. And like Lorenzo is a perfect example of, you know, Lorenzo is a brilliant rider. Do you know what I mean? But he rides completely different to Marc Marquez.
Oh God, yes, different. You can't get
right. This. So it's chalk and cheese, right? And like, you know, Lorenzo rides like butter, like silky smooth butter, right?
Yeah, he has that long. He's like Fabio. They get that long arcing corners. Yeah,
and Marc Marquez is fucking rocky road, like
he's squares. But
the bike is all over the fucking shop, and he's happy with it dancing, right? Lorenzo, and I'm trying to figure out with Mir. Like Mir doesn't mind the bike stepping out, but he is not as a wildcat rider as Marquez. So, like, how is that going to balance out now? Do you know what I mean? So, I do feel
Marquez, I said, if the bike handled better, you wouldn't see him jumping all over the place. You'd see him squaring off the corners radically, okay? But you wouldn't see that, you know, I'm holding together, hoping it doesn't, you know, pitch me off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, look, I find it very, very interesting to see what is going to happen. Rins, man, I so wished I saw Rins on the Ducati or the Aprilia. I think the Honda is just wrong. Now, saying that, and I will agree with but I think it's James Ellison, or I think, you know, I think, Rins is the only one of the two boys that have gone head to head with Marquez and been successful.
Right.
So in a dogfight. There's also the thing that Marquez and Rins don't get on. Do you know what I mean? And I think the last bit is that, you know, he is in the satellite team and he's not going to get the parts that he wants at the same time as Repsol.
No.
So if there's a fundamental issue with the bike, he's stuck with it until the other two boys are happy with the solution found, and then he'll get the solution. I don't think he's going to Now, do it in the way the Ducati would do it, that they bring the 3 parts and they try it. Like Honda, in my view, Honda would give it to Mark, and they'd have, say, for example, they'd have 2 swing arms, and it would only be for Mark. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Ducati would bring 3 swing arms, give one to everyone, and say, "Don't fucking crash it."
Yeah,
don't crash it, because if you crash it, you only got one. Exactly.
You only pedal at home.
But they would get 3 different types of feedback straight back in, rather than relying on one.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that's going to happen. I think the shit that Honda are in, it's about pleasing Marc Marquez at the moment. Do you know what I mean? He will get to do parts. He'll sign them off. He's happy with them.
They'll go back to the eggs in one basket. They're going to rely on the rider's skill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But saying that, Augusto Fernandez versus Raul Fernandez. And I did make a mistake, because I get fucking confused between the Fernandez. There's 3 or 4, I think 3 Fernandezes. There's Adrian, who's in Moto 3. That is Raul's brother. And I thought that that Raul and Augusto were cousins, but they're not. So my apologies.
They all look alike.
I make a mistake once a year anyway. You know what I mean?
We'll let you go this time.
There it is. But yeah, look, I think it's going to be very, very interesting for Raul. I don't know. I just don't see it with Raul.
I don't see it. He had done something. He had done something on that KTM. You know what I mean?
He was still beaten. Like, he was still beaten by Gardner and that. Like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he was so far behind, and you'd think they'd have one flash of brilliance, at least.
I know. Look, he did have a couple of flashes of brilliance in wet races and stuff like that. I will take it.
But wet races, it's
I just, the whole package, you know, like the bitching and moaning about his team, like,
yes, it's racist and they're against me, and then they're plotting against me. You know, he's just like, oh god,
yeah. And like that, it's that sort of shit that I'm like going, is this guy really ready to put up with like RNF Aprilia will be the exact same as KTM. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't do your job, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? And look, I do fear for him. And look, I don't believe what people say that he was forced to go into things.
No, I never bought that from day one. Remember, I was like, that's bullshit.
You know, like, if you're not ready to ride in Moto 3, you tell your management tell you. If they say to you, you have to ride in it, you know, you find another fucking team. Like, do you know what I mean? And if you're the next greatest fucking thing in this planet, and you decide, no, I'm not actually going to go to Moto thing, and some poor fucker will lose his seat because you're such a great thing to get. Do you know what I mean? That any team will. And, you know, I see it with Acosta. You know, he was supposed to test this week. I think he did actually do a couple of laps, but he was rained off. Like, he said openly, he's like, I was supposed to go to MotoGP in 2023, and he's like, but I'm not ready. And I said no.
Yeah, I don't think he is either.
But if Augusto comes in as a rookie on a KTM and fucking even gets close to him,
right?
I think that's the hype train fucking derailed for him anyway. Like, you know, big time, because, you know, okay, while the bike might be different, and if he comes in, puts his head down, works hard, gets some results, like, he's already rookie of the year. You know, Raul Fernandez didn't win that.
Right.
Before the even year starts, because he's the only fucking rookie, so he's rookie of the year. So he will get his award, you know, in Valencia 2023. But, you know, I think for me, it's just like, it's really, really needs to understand, if he puts his head down, if he gets good results, is close to Raul in the racing, that means, now, I personally think Raul should have been up higher in the test. He's on Aprilia. The other 3 Aprilias were in the top 5, and you're down in 21st. You can make all the fucking excuses you want.
Right? And you know what? Aprilia, when like we said, that KTM is going to put up with a lot more than Aprilia is, because Aprilia is going to look at him and say, "Listen, you're on your last lifeboat, buddy. You better, you better produce, or nobody's going to want you." Okay, you'll be riding mini bikes again, right?
Exactly. You're not a fucking rookie anymore, kid. Do you know what I mean? You have a year, and like that was kind of my point, is that he's not a rookie. You know, he should be like, he was 1.5 seconds off the pace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he should have, in my view, been at least within a second. 7/10, that would have been a fucking really good result. If you look at Alex Marquez, you know, he jumped off the Honda and onto Ducati, and he was just a little bit ahead of the time he set on the Honda on his first go out in the Ducati.
Yeah.
There is loads more that can come. And like you see it in all the pictures of all the bikes, right? Mm-hmm. Like take Miller on the KTM versus Miller on the Ducati in the exact same corner. He's leant way more over in Ducati.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's used to it. Once he gets used to that, you know what I mean? He'd go through that corner faster and faster and faster.
Right, exactly.
But he was still within a couple of tenths, you know, or you know what I mean, of where he was in the Ducati. Whereas your man, I don't know. I just don't see it. But
and in life, when you get somebody who pouts and bitches and moans and are so fragile like that, are they ever any good at anything? I mean, once they get tested, they usually crumble. You know,
and I think it is. Look, MotoGP is a pressure cooker, and I think, you know, it's going to come down hot and heavy on him now. Do you know what I mean? But that's just my personal view.
But when somebody asks about Acosta and doing in the MotoGP, he needs more time, and I think he needs maturity. And I don't mean mental maturity. He looks like, you know, it's like boxers. Some of them you bring forth faster than others. He needs meat in his bones. He needs to physically mature up.
As we say in Ireland, his balls need to drop further.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he looks like he just came out of junior prom. He needs, you know, muscle up, you know, catch a collapse, you know.
So what he needs to do, he needs to take an old 1,000cc bike. Start practicing on it, just getting used to the weight, to transfer the power. So, with slick tires, not to do our World Superbike rules, but just
like an old '96 GPZ 1100 with a, you know, it's 600 pounds, and you know it has 130 horsepower. You're fighting it through the whole, you know, every corner you're fighting it through, you know, that type of thing.
I think that would definitely link to it. And look, I suppose then the other one is Rins. Still just I just don't know. Look, I think I'd love to see them, as I said, on the Aprilia or the Ducati, but you know, I just don't think he's going to get the service. I get what he said. I would, you know, he wants to be on a 2023 bike rather than a 2022 bike.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. Fuck it. You know, the GP22, personally, in my view, is probably going to be one of the most sorted bikes of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
If you could win in that, like if you look at the VR46 team's goal for the year, is not to win the championship, is to beat the Pramac riders. That's all they want to do.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
Right. And that's like, for me, that's their goal. It's not to beat Pecco or Bastianini or whatever. It's to beat them in the Pramac team. Now, speaking of VR46. I genuinely do believe that this could be the last year, or will be the last year, that they run Ducatis.
No, I don't think so. We disagree on that one, and only for one reason. I think the idea for him to switch over is great. I mean, why would he go with a satellite team when he can go to more or less a factory Yamaha team? But until they get out, until that V4 comes, okay, do you think Rossi's going to jump onto a bike that he was finishing 19th and 20th on?
Rossi doesn't fucking care, man. Rossi has his clean break, right?
Yeah, he has his clean break, but he knows that thing is that inline 4 is at a dead end. Okay, so he's like, shit. We'll wait till and it's for marketing. It's good PR. Yeah, new bike, V4, Rossi, VR46, Yamaha. It's a great marketing to have them splash in together.
Right? Yeah, I don't know.
Double-edged sword on that. I think they'll wait another year.
I don't think Ducati give them a 1-year contract. They're out of the contract at the end of 2024. So I don't think it's going to be a 1-year contract that Ducati would give them. Like
they might for the name. They might for the VR46 name. You think?
No, because if it was for the name, they would have works bikes.
That's true. That's true. That's another side of it. Yeah.
You know, and whatever about like running a MotoGP team is very fucking expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very expensive. And we've gone around the dance whether Yamaha will go V4 or not. Hopefully they will, but I think Rossi would put up with a couple of years of pain if there was an understanding of like, this is where we're going to go with the bikes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you reduce 60-70% of your costs. Recession coming in.
Yeah.
That fucking deal for me, man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you're going to go through 2 years of shit. Like, realistically, the academy is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The last one is
Pecco.
No, Vietti and Moto 2.
Oh, Vieto. Yeah, that's right.
So I personally reckon next year they will lose Bezzecchi. At the end of next year, they will lose Bezzecchi to Pramac. Right? If that happens, they bring Vietti into.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, Bezzecchi to Pramac,
and that's it. And it's all like, because the Moto 2 is gone, Moto 3 is gone. Do you know what I mean? They're not bringing people up. No, they might run in the small Italian championships and try and place them in world championship teams, right? Don't get me wrong. Like the academy itself will stay, but the running of the junior bikes is gone, right?
Yeah. And Zarco's getting, I know there's a lot of Zarco fans, but he's getting a little long in tooth.
It's not that he's getting long in the tooth. It's just there's the new breed, man. It's just fucking lethal. Right?
Yeah.
And look, I can see.
That's what I mean. There's other people coming up. He's been there a while. He hasn't produced. He's a good test rider and all.
Like I can see, and I can genuinely see this happening in the next couple of years, right? I can see Marquez going to Pramac. Marc Marquez. I can see Martin going to Honda. And I see Bezzecchi in Pramac as well.
That just puts shivers down my spine. Mm-hmm. All I had is a vision if this Martin, he gets really low and he gets far down. Can you imagine having to rely on the side grip of a Honda and you're all the way down there?
But maybe that's what they need to engineer into the Honda to make the fucker
not
turn.
A maybe. Yeah, I mean, but he's gonna have a lot of crashes before then.
yeah. But look, like that's what I personally think is going to happen. Maybe not for two or so years yet. But look, Martin is out of contract the end of next year, right? As well. Mm-hmm. Okay, you have Zarco out of contract the end of next year, right? Zarco, in my view, will go into the Piro route of a test rider. Mm-hmm. And I think if Martin is still not happy or getting his ass whooped by the factory boys, he'll bail. He won't stay there and be beaten consistently. Now, where does Martin go is the great question. Do you know what I mean? Because he's out of sync with some of the others. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I think that's for me is going to be where the interesting part of this whole thing does. And like, I still think that we could see Marquez in a Ducati, especially for the legacy. He has to fucking win that championship to beat Rossi. He has to. Like he would go to his grave disappointed if he doesn't. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know, and I don't particularly care about their arguments or their distaste for each other, right? But I know it for a fact that if I was competing with someone, I have to beat them.
Yeah, I don't buy it either. They're all mended up and buddies still. I don't get it. I ain't buying that.
I understand. I understand the reason why they shook hands that day in Catalonia. Mm-hmm. Right after your man dying, everyone was a bit emotional and everything like that. But I would never fucking forgive someone. Never. Mm. But Rossi was afraid of Marquez. After their incidents, Rossi did not like riding close to or near Marquez because he knew he would ride him off.
I'm a Marquez fan because he's just the best there's ever been. He's the fastest rider there's ever been, no question about it. But man, he's rough. He is too rough. He's never gotten a penalty of all that bashing and smashing and towing and all that. I mean, it is ridiculous at this point.
Well, look, he's got what I'll call local penalties, but he hasn't got a proper penalty. You're right.
What local? I don't remember a local. What do you call a local penalty? Whatever that is.
He's gotten his ride throughs and 5 seconds here and there and whatever. You know.
When did I don't remember getting a ride through
Argentina, when he decided that he was going to be a fucking tank rather than a MotoGP rider and through everyone. Yeah, he got 5 seconds. He got a ride through, and he got 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever it was.
Oh shit! Okay. Oh that. Yeah. Oh! That was last year. Or what year was that?
Oh, that was years ago. That was fucking
2019,
2018ish.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah. Okay.
No, look. He does, but look, that's a whole other side. Like the fucking race directors are. Yeah, they better not say it. They're poor. We're just poor judgment, poor decisions, inconsistent decisions, in my view. But you know, I think it's quite interesting. And then Petroza giving the secrets of KTM out, I thought was quite interesting as well with the tires. Yeah, now, look, I know they're running an awful lot of stuff in the frame, and we will cover that. But you know, I think like he's spot on. Like, do you know what I mean? When he was saying it, and I was thinking back, I was just like, Christ, that is actually right. That, you know, they bolt on a new set of tires. So they have the bike set up, right, for the race weekend, right? Forget about the problem is going from track to track to track, right? Mm-hmm. They have the bike set up for the race weekend and whatever, and they know what the bike is dialed in.
Right.
And then they put a new set of tires on and they don't go
that much faster. It just stops.
It's just like, dunk, you know what I mean? And you're like, no, that must absolutely.
I can't even remember anybody having that problem before. Do you?
Yeah, no, I don't. But
no,
it's just, and like he delivered it in a way that everyone can understand it. Like, you know, can you fucking imagine? Right, we're going out for qualified. All right, so you have like 5 liters of petrol in the tank. Do you know what I mean? Everything is lightened off to fuck. Mm-hmm. Brand new set of boots, and you maybe go 2/10 faster.
Yeah. Like, what happened? Why? What?
Imagine, like, yeah. Anyway, but it is.
You wonder, is it going through the corners the same way, or is it?
Is the feeling go?
Yeah, something. What happens? You know? Yeah.
And then, but look, then he was giving, like, for me, it was good insight, you know, like that. You know, in a race, because they start a little bit further down, they use more tire, and the tire pressures go up. Then, do you know what I mean? And then it's fucking useless. Then once the tire pressures have gone up, so look, you can kind of genuinely see what the problems for the KTM is, or are. Sorry, and I thought it was really, really, really good insight. But saying that, and it's one of the things that I really do miss about MotoGP is that. I'd love the tire war again.
Remember the tire wars?
Oh, it's brilliant. Now
I like the single tires because everybody's on the same plane.
No way. Get off the fucking stage there now. Get off the stage. Absolutely no. This is. I'm gonna use your words to haunt you. This is prototype racing. Fuck off.
It's the only thing I swear it's the only rule Darn ever made that like worked.
No. Well, no, that's because someone else worked it.
Yeah.
But, do you know what I mean? But no, I think I do get it that a bike may not work with one set of tires or a tire manufacturer, right? And then your whole philosophy is fucked for the year.
Yeah, it is.
Right. But if you had a choice of 3 tire manufacturers at the start of every year, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like they used to.
And then you go with the tire that works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and how would I say? And like, look, you could do it in a way like okay, you couldn't build a bike specific or build a tire specific for a bike. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So just say Michelin, Pirelli, and Bridgestone would have their tire allocation and or whatever, right? And they would have this is their spec tire. Do you know what I mean? And if you want to ride it, then everyone gets the same sort of Dunlop. If you want to go on Pirelli, everyone gets the same Pirelli. And that way, I think,
that's where they used to do it. Remember, you used to pick a tire in the beginning of the year. You pick Michelin or you pick Dunlop. I remember Michelin or Dunlop are the two big ones. And you went with that tire for the whole year, and everybody went in the same batch of Michelins or Dunlops. Problem was that, say, Michelin might make a big jump, and then everybody that was on Dunlop, they were screwed. You could have a bike that was much better, but the tires were shit. And
performance finds its own.
Not in tires. you can't find a level if you have one choice. You either got one, or what I mean. If you pick the wrong one, you're screwed.
Yeah. But look, if you pick the wrong fucking setting too, do you know what I mean? And look, I just think I miss the tire world. If I'm honest, being very, very honest,
it's just a preference.
It is. Do you know what I mean? And it's options and
then, but you did have the tire wars. The bike. That's the days when they really did make the bike, to the rider.
Yep.
Yeah. Now they make the bike to the tires, and then just the settings are for the rider, right?
Yep.
The bike ain't built for that rider. But then that bike was built from the ground up, from the blueprint, to the bike was made for Spencer. It was made for Roberts. It was made for Swans. It was made just for that rider.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So look, we're nearly pushing time. I do want to ask.
You forgot Yamaha.
That's what I forgot about Yamaha.
You forgot we were going over everybody's thing. I thought you would go over your favorite brand. You're going over everybody's prospects for the year.
Huh?
You're going over everyone's prospects for the year. Every brand's prospects for the year.
Jesus, yeah. I think we could do a whole video on Yamaha.
I'm just gonna give you that.
Yeah, fucker. I think Yamaha. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's definitely going to be a challenge, isn't it?
The challenge. That's good. That's being real PC. Yeah.
It's
definitely. I think KTM. Take out Quartararo's finishes. I think KTM's actually going to go past Yamaha next year. Surpass Yamaha.
Well, they did already this year.
Are you sure? I mean, yeah.
Take out Quartararo's points.
Yeah.
And the works, just the two bikes of Binder and Oliveira beat the other three.
Jesus.
Yeah. Easy. Well beat them. And they finished, KTM finished second in the teams championship. Remember that?
That's right. They did. They slipped up. Yeah, you're right.
They finished fourth in the manufacturers. But again, if you took out Quartararo out of the manufacturers.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
You're back. So there's that. Just one question that we have from Joe. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe. How you doing, Joseph?
And he just asked me a question about the poll that I put out a couple of weeks ago about how many times a week would I do it. I thought I answered this last week, but maybe I didn't. So I'm going to keep making content daily as much as I can. And then when it gets to a stage where I have nothing really to talk about, I'll start reducing down. But it's kind of a touchy subject for me right now that I've gone 11 months of doing a video every day. Well, almost 11 months. We're near the end of the month. And I don't really want to fail towards the I might as well watch another 30 videos or 31 videos.
You know that with a puppet. Hi.
Yeah. So yeah, look, I think my plan would be is that maybe January I might slow to maybe 3 videos, and then start kicking back off again in February. But have January as kind of my holiday month, because I'd say. If I did videos every day, I would be in January. Well, look, January will be okay. I suppose I could, but I don't know. But yeah, we're just up on time there now today, Jake. I do have some exciting news. I can't share it yet. Also, but I think people will enjoy it.
Vastly, yes.
It's. If it happens, it will be an absolute privilege, and I think it will set Jake into a fanboy status for a couple of hours anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Tech talk.
Yeah. But look, it might not happen. Might happen. We're in the final stage just talking about it. So hopefully I can share it soon and decide when we will put it out. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you, Jake, again as always. And guys, keep having the questions coming in. Yep. I have about 15 questions that I didn't get to this week, but we will. Next week we will do maybe the last 20 minutes of questions.
Yeah, we'll have to do an all question or a half session of questions. Yes.
Yeah. This tends to happen to us quite a lot. Even most people don't know that before we even recorded this, we talked for about 20 minutes, half an hour about shit already. So we're coming up to nearly an hour and a half or an hour and 3/4 of talking shit about bikes. And we will continue to talk shit after this happens for another 20 minutes or half an hour. So yeah, look, we always get a bit carried away. It's great to be able to do it, especially in the off season. But hopefully you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you all again next week.
Next week, guys.